In The Flash, director Andy Muschietti adapts pivotal moments from the DC Flashpoint story to an impressively graphic and gruesome effect. This isn't surprising considering that Muschietti previously directed the It films and Mama. It's not the first time a horror director has taken the helm of a comic book movie and given it a ghastly touch. Emphasizing the superheroes' overall physical relationship with their powers is a welcome evolution for the comic book movie genre, and we should see that happen more often. The Flash leans into body horror in a big way with the rescue of Supergirl sequence, the recreation of Flash's frankly grotesque origin, and more. When asked about the body horror in this film, Andy Muschietti had this to say.
The only things that we took as reference was loosely Flashpoint, and we changed enough to make a surprising and unpredictable movie experience. There's tons of comic books where I took little things here and there, but I really wanted to explore Barry's powers for good and bad.
While The Flash isn't a one-to-one adaptation of the Flashpoint story, Muschietti makes sure to keep the major moments of Flashpoint intact. In a story that ultimately shakes up the fates of DC's greatest heroes, he keeps in moments of great physical strife that ultimately challenge our understanding of the relationship between heroes and their powers. And along the way, he is sure to imbue the film with plenty of moments of body horror. While the term body horror is most closely associated with the horror genre and refers to the disturbing physical transformations that go against God and nature, imagine zombies, spinning heads, transmogrification, etc., the concept as applied in superhero movies feels like a unique way to approach it. As works that demonstrate the human body pushing past its natural limits, most superhero stories are examples of body horror turned into body awe. There are many things the human body should and shouldn't be able to do, and when we see those natural laws broken, there's an innate reaction that walks the line between amazement and fear.
You alright?
In fact, the discovery moment in most superhero movies can be seen as a descendant of horror reveals in literary classics like Mary Shelley's Frankenstein or Franz Kafka's The Metamorphosis. These characters realize that their relationship with the world is now forever changed, internally and externally. Look at the way Mark Webb captures the panic and confusion of Peter getting his powers in a way that is probably the most accurate reaction to having super strength, sticky skin, and a wild sixth sense. But really, the role of perception is the key in all of this. Objectively, seeing someone stopping bullets without blinking would probably make you scream or throw up. But when you're told that those abilities are used to protect the community, that fear is slightly neutralized.
You have bullet immunity!
I'm bulletproof.
When these abilities are weaponized, however, the fear we feel turns these superpowered people into monstrosities instead, as is often explored in stories like Hellboy and within the X-Men franchise. As mutants with extraordinary gifts, they protect humanity, and yes, some attack it, yet regardless of their heroism, they face prejudice and fear from the Homo sapiens for how they look and what they are capable of.
You Homo sapiens and your guns.
Tying fear of the abnormal to a character's appearance has long been a storytelling shortcut most often reserved for villains. Their outsides have to match their insides after all, but comic book movies have been evolving in that arena, and horror directors are a big part of why. Horror directors who have dipped their toes into making these superhero movies have really played with the fantastical elements of the genre. Sam Raimi, of course, pioneered this approach with his trilogy of Spider-Man movies starring Tobey Maguire. He simply made Peter Parker's transformation more organic and had his body produce webbing rather than having Peter make a mechanical web shooter. White sticky substances coming out of the body? Many of us have questions.
Like, does it just come out of your wrists, or does it come out of anywhere else?
Only the wrists. You never had a web block?
Raimi also returned to the comic book genre with Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, where he shows Wanda literally shredding people, a zombie Strange, and Stephen with a freaky but chill third eye. The first Doctor Strange movie, directed by Scott Derrickson, goes all in on Stephen's eye-opening scene and depicts astral projections like ghouls. David F. Sandberg brings some humor to the shocking and instantaneous transformation from teen to adult in Shazam.
Oh, stupid adult hands!
Even as recently as in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, James Gunn gives us the High Evolutionary, who ironically sought perfection by conducting heinous body horror experiments on cute little innocent animals. And what's the one thing these directors all have in common? They all came from horror backgrounds, and Muschietti's The Flash is the latest example of that experience coming in handy.
I can fix things. I can save people. I can save my mom. I can save your parents.
Of course, Muschietti's horror directing background is filled with different kinds of body horror. Look at it and the way Pennywise manifests for each of the losers. The erratic, freakish nature of Pennywise is enough on its own, but it rapidly transforming into each of their fears is like psychological whiplash. Muschietti also executive produced Netflix's Lock and Key, an adaptation of the graphic novel series by Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez, which features magical keys that can unlock certain abilities. A few of these keys work by being inserted into the body. Muschietti takes and adapts visceral concepts from the source material faithfully while delving deeper into the character's experience of it to create sympathy between us and them. Take for instance the Supergirl breakout scene. Like in the comic, when Barry finds the imprisoned Kryptonian, in that version it's Superman, they are much smaller than expected. However, Muschietti takes the conceit further than the comic and presents the sun-deprived Kara as extremely frail, looking more similar to Gollum than a teenage girl. Yet when she gets some sweet yellow sun, Kara's entire body is restored and then some. And her vengeance on her captors is portrayed like something out of Brightburn or any evil Superman story. When Barry recreates the night he was struck by lightning by literally making an electric chair, we actually understand the searing pain of being electrified and burnt with chemicals that Barry has now experienced multiple times. Only because he has rapid healing do we never linger on the scarring and burns any regular human body would sustain. Compared to other versions of Barry's origin, The Flash gets into the damage Barry would have suffered on his way to becoming a superhero in a more realistic way. And in many ways, Barry is Frankenstein's monster, revived by a shot to the heart. They even use a kite here to attract the lightning, just as Dr. Frankenstein did when creating his monster.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive! In the name of God! Now I know what it feels like to be God!
It's been an interesting evolution of super people dealing with their superpowers on the big screen, and while it may feel like we're in a rut and glut of these comic book movies lately, it's refreshing to see more creative and grounded ways of how these characters' lives are changed by uncontrollable circumstances. Thanks for watching. For more on The Flash, make sure to check out the review, and as always, make sure to follow and subscribe to IGN wherever you like to watch.